imagine some of you are thinking, shit, Steve, it sounds like you just suck at playing video games. Yes! That's it, exactly! I suck at playing video games, which is why I only enjoy the easy ones. Because when I play a video game, I'm not under the delusion that beating the game is an accomplishment, and that beating the game at a higher level of difficulty is therefore a more impressive accomplishment. It's not impressive, and it's not an accomplishment.
Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
This is a certified hood classic.
Rock and Stone. Oh, hi. My name is Smitty Warbin Jaegerman Jensen. Has anyone seen my hat? Just kidding, of course. I'm Karina McDaniels, the baddest bitch south of the Earth's crust, here with another YouTube video for your brain to enjoy. Now, I know I'm prone to exaggerate. I do that a lot more than I realize. It's a bad habit. But the title of this video is no exaggeration at all. This one is really bad. And that's coming from someone who's listened to Geeks and Gamers far more than I ever wanted to. You thought his takes were bad? Well, I found a take that is much worse by a considerable margin. This video is titled, Video Games Should Be Easy. Oh boy, that's a title that'll make Reddit piss fiery blood. That would normally make me happy because fuck Reddit, but unfortunately this video is, well, exactly as bad as you're thinking it is. But you know me, I'm harsh, but I'm always fair. Whether or not you agree with anything I've said before, you can never say I was unfair to the people I talk about. I do everything I can to avoid coming off as unfair, in fact. It's gonna be hard this time. You'll see why in a bit.
There are people in the world who play video games on the highest level of difficulty, and I do not understand this. I'm not a gamer, but that doesn't keep me from having strongly held opinions about video games, and one of those opinions is this: video games should be easy.
Okay, this is not exactly an uncommon opinion. I've heard this more than once. I'm not a gatekeeper by any means. In fact, I've talked shit about people who try to be, mainly Yellow Flash 2, who my longtime viewers are very familiar with. That dude was an epic douche. So, I'm gonna do my best to be on your side here, Steve. I hope you know what you're talking about, home dog.
Almost every video game I've ever played, because I'm not a gamer, but I have played a video game or two in my time.
Jeez. So, you lose points for admitting that you're not much of a gamer. That's a big bullet hole in your credibility right off the bat, but I guess I just have to step back and let you lay out your point. That'll help, right? Right? Right, I'm correct, right? It's definitely not going to get gradually worse as it's going to get worse, isn't it?
And almost every video game I've ever played has had a difficulty setting. I don't even remember the last time I played a video game on anything other than the easiest setting. Why are those other difficulty settings even there? Everyone's different. I realize that. Tastes vary. So I can't truthfully say that people who want difficult video games are wrong. All I can say is, I don't get it. I've had it explained to me, I understand it on an intellectual level, but I don't get it. Once I asked a friend of mine who plays a lot of video games what they get out of playing games that are hard to beat, and they told me, I like the challenge. And I said, oh, I get that. You're way too invested in video games.
Seriously? That's how you responded to that? I'm guessing that was the end of that friendship. I don't understand the logic of that assumption, as if you need to be overly invested in video games to want to play them on a higher difficulty. That isn't necessarily true. If there's too much of an absence of a threat of failure, games tend to be less enjoyable, depending on the genre, of course. If you're wondering about the game in the background, I'm playing Gunman Contracts on Half-Life Alyx. I'm playing it on the hardest difficulty. Gunman Contracts is John Wick the video game, pretty much. And on the hardest difficulty, you can only take 3 hits before dying and starting the entire level over again. Yes, you heard me correctly. On easy, you could take something like 11, but every enemy dies in 2 hits anywhere to the body, so for a heavily experienced shooter like myself, these guys wouldn't pose a threat to me unless they did a ton of damage. Victory doesn't have any meaning if there's no threat of failure. I kinda thought that was just a universally understood concept, whether it's football, table tennis, or hell, even building a Doom Fortress in Minecraft.
You play video games on a higher level of difficulty because you like the challenge. You know what I do when I feel like a challenge? I lead my life. I'm not telling you my life is exceptionally challenging, by the way. It's not. I'm just a massive wuss. Some things in life are unavoidably hard. There's nothing you can do to make them easier. You just have to endure the best you can. But if there is a way to make something easier, I'd like it to be as easy as possible, please. Especially if the something in question is something as frivolous as a video game.
Like what? I mean, I'm seriously stunned. I don't know how to respond to that. That's just such an alien mindset. I can't even be like, oh, I understand how you feel, because I don't, man. Everything worth a damn in my life was difficult, and I don't remember ever doing something easy and feeling anything other than apathy. Sure, when I was a kid, it felt nice sometimes, but I grew up after that. You know, beating Halo 2 on easy wasn't doing anything for me anymore. It's either legendary or you go home. Not max skulls, of course. Fuck no. What do you think I am, a masochist? Anyway, video games require a skill set, like many things in life. Getting better at refining your skill set is what makes you grow as a person, so I can't say I'm a big fan of your overall attitude here, Steve.
Before all you righteously indignant gamers come at me, accusing me of shitting on video games as a medium, that's not what I'm doing. I understand why you might be upset. If you thought that's what I was doing, you love an art form that isn't widely respected or taken seriously. Hey, I'm a pro wrestling fan, okay? I get it. I know that video games can be a medium for serious, intelligent, emotionally involving, socially relevant, and thematically rich storytelling. I'm not arguing otherwise. All I'm saying is, if I play your video game with the beautifully written story on the highest difficulty setting, I'm probably not going to make it to your impeccably crafted and deeply resonant ending. If a story is intellectually or emotionally challenging, I can do that. I'm all about that. But if it's technically challenging, fuck that shit. Who wants to watch a movie where you can't get to the next scene unless you're able to push the right buttons in the right order fast enough?
Yeah, this is it, lads. I'm gone. I'm out of here. I don't want this anymore. It's sending me. I've been sent.
You know, Steve, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you right now. I don't think you understand a damn thing about video games. The fact that you admitted you weren't a gamer in the beginning doesn't help your case either. I say that cause if you did understand gaming, you would know that it has barely anything in common with movies, and you wouldn't try to make a shaky comparison between the two. A movie, I can't believe I have to explain this, but a movie is a completely non-interactive medium. And a video game is centered around interactivity. If it doesn't have that, it would not be a video game. Again, I can't believe I have to explain this, but apparently here we are. The reason why someone would play a video game over a movie is because video games allow you to become the main character, not just watch them. This is a huge advantage video games have that movies simply cannot provide. This is why your analogy is fundamentally flawed. You mentioned earlier that you have no idea why games have any other difficulty settings. Well, it's quite simple. Game designers, for decades, literally since the beginning of gaming, game designers have understood that people will eventually master the mechanics of their game, and if the game has no way of adapting to that, people will lose interest over time. This is a verifiable fact. So, in order to make their game stand the test of time, they add extra modes and rewards for completing their modes to encourage, development. They don't want you to just be good, they want you to learn new things, and they want you to engage with the game in new ways. The best example I can think of is Halo having skulls that handicap you, Call of Duty makes their enemies more accurate and do more damage, etc., etc. I'm sure you can think of a million more. I feel like it's also worth noting that many games nowadays are getting better at making gameplay mesh with the story. I mentioned that you play the game for the story, and that's fine, but if you're playing at the easiest difficulty, you will get a noticeably worse experience than a more normal-ish difficulty. For example, say there's a big bad guy who the game builds up as a strong menace. Well, if you kick his ass in 10 seconds, doesn't that create a disconnect between the story and the game? You would think this big bad guy would be a challenge for your hero, but then he wasn't? I mean, if that happened in a movie, people would make fun of it. It would be a shit movie. People would be wondering why this guy was ever a threat in the first place. You see what I'm saying?
Earlier, I said that even though I'm not a gamer, I have played a video game or two in my time. In recent years, most of the games I've played have been mobile games. and I have 2 of them currently downloaded on my phone. One is a game called Flow Free, which is a puzzle game where you connect the same color dots on a board. The other is a collection of solitaire games, which I use mostly to play free cell. Know what these 2 games have in common? They're both easy as shit. Occasionally there will be a flow-free board that takes me 2 or 3 tries to solve, but that's about as tough as it gets. I have yet to play a free cell game on anything other than easy mode, and guess what? I've never lost. I have a perfect record on my free cell game. I'm not bragging. Bragging about how good I am at a video game would be a very silly thing to do, even if I didn't make winning the game as easy as possible. I'm just saying, being able to win the game is one of the main reasons I enjoy playing the game.
Oh, Jesus Christ, smoking a blunt on the lawn of the White House. You're killing me, Steve. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me, Steve. You're fucking killing me, man. For real, no cap, you're fucking killing me, dude. Not only did you flat out say you aren't a gamer, but now you're telling me the only modern games you've played are easy as shit mobile games? Come on, bro. Come on. Tell me you're fucking trolling right now. This has to be a joke. Ugh. Now, I'm not trying to sound like a gatekeeper. I don't have any issues with the fact that he plays mobile games. Mobile games are video games too, obviously. If you think otherwise, you're wrong, period, end of discussion. But this is a horribly detrimental thing to say, considering the title of this video is Video Games Should Be Easy. By video games, I can only assume you're talking about modern console games. If you flat out admit you have basically zero experience with this stuff, well then I have no reason to take your opinion seriously, dude.
These days, Doom 2 is one of the games you can find in the Internet Archive's arcade section, and sometimes if I find myself with some free time and I want to just have some mindless fun, I load Doom 2, turn down the game's music and sound effects, and put on some music of my own, and I play Doom 2 right there in my web browser and have a great time for however long it takes until I get bored with it, usually between half an hour and an hour. Not only do I play Doom 2 on the easiest skill level, I believe that would be the I'm too young to die setting, I load that fucker up with cheat code.
I'm seriously at a loss for words. I'm running out of ways to try to engage with this. If I had to ask you a question, I'd like to ask you why winning is fun if there's no chance of you not winning. That's what really doesn't make sense to me. I've never known anyone who plays everything on super simple baby mode and had fun. I don't think my friends are pro gamers by any means, and sure, I'm really good at video games. I think that's pretty evident. You know, I'm pretty good when I want to be, of course. I just don't get why the absence of threat is fun to anyone. I mean, you aren't arguing to make games easier per se. You want them to be like as easy as possible. That's your words. I'm quoting you. That is a much different statement than just saying you want an easy mode for Dark Souls. All I can really say is I don't get you, Steve. You're an alien to me, dog.
And now that I mention it, that's another thing about video games I don't get. Why are there cheat codes? Why do you need to know the secret handshake to activate certain options? Why isn't this stuff just checkboxes in the settings menu? God mode? Yes, please. Check. Infinite ammo? Don't mind if I do. Check.
Well, fuck it in a bucket.
Well, Steve, allow me to flex my nerd credibility real quick. Cheat codes historically were created from console commands that game developers would use to test certain aspects of their game. It would range from AI pathing AI behavior, their accuracy, blah blah blah. God mode is just a way for developers to test their game AI without having to die and restart over and over and over again. They became cheat codes when the game was done. It's basically done as just a fun Easter egg for players to mess around with. My favorite cheat code, personally, for the record, was on GTA San Andreas. It's the code where you can spawn an attack helicopter anywhere. You can do vigilante missions in that thing, and let me tell you, blasting criminals with homing rockets to the sound of Freebird was hilarious fun. Sometimes game devs would make you unlock them by beating the game. Nowadays, of course, you pay money for cheat codes, but that's another rant for another day. But when you use cheat codes in the way that Steve here is using them, you're just trivializing the experience. I'm not gonna say that's always bad. I'm not gonna say you're less of a gamer. I'm not Ian Miles Chong after all. But dude, I don't understand how your method of playing is fun. In a part I cut out for time, he mentions that he plays Doom 2 until he gets bored, which is about like 30 minutes to an hour. Gee, I wonder if the reason you get bored so fast is because, oh, I don't know, you're trivializing the fuck out of the game? Just a thought. It's just a random thought I had out of nowhere.
When I play Doom or Wolfenstein, I don't want to be challenged. I want to roam through an increasingly hellish landscape and blow away a variety of demons with a shotgun. That's what I want to do, and I want it to be as low effort and mindless as possible. And I don't want to be aggravated by how hard it is to beat this level and move on to the next one. There are things in my life that aggravate me that I can't do anything about. Why would I want the game that I'm playing, that I've chosen to play for fun, to aggravate me too?
Credit where it's due, you made the first reasonable argument I've heard thus far. I'm seriously confused as to why you didn't put this section at the beginning of the video instead of midway through. I'd have a much higher chance of taking you seriously if you said this first and foremost. I get it. Of course I do. At least with that kind of statement, I could just say I respectfully disagree with you. But instead, I've been sitting here wondering whether or not you've touched a video game in your life.
Am I saying every voluntary activity I engage in, every hobby I pursue needs to be as easy as possible? No, of course not. I exercise regularly, and part of exercising, if you stick with it long term, is occasionally increasing the difficulty of your routine, adjusting your goals to keep it challenging. That's how you get better, by pushing yourself. It's not easy and it's not fun, but if you do it long enough and consistently enough, you see real benefits. You look better, you feel better, you have more energy. Hopefully, you live longer and have fewer health problems along the way. In other words, there's a reason to challenge yourself and to force yourself to endure aggravation and misery. What's the reason for doing that with a video game?
You know, Steve, you made a big deal earlier about how you're not going to try to disparage gaming as a concept. I mentioned that because what you just said was easily one of the most backhanded, passive-aggressive things I've ever heard anyone say about gaming. Nobody, and I mean nobody, who has any love for gaming would ever say something like that, as if gaming is somehow more meaningless than anything else in the world. First off, you're wrong on an objective level. Do you really think there would be such a thing as professional gaming if it was just a toy to play for your amusement? No. Gaming takes a lot of critical thinking skills. This is a fact. It can be very mentally taxing on the brain, and I'm willing to bet the only reason you don't think that is because you go out of your way to trivialize every game you play. Well, no wonder you think it's a big waste of time. You're designing it to be that way on purpose. Of course you're gonna think a painting is dog shit if you can only see 10% of it at any given time. It's also incredibly weird how you make a point that you don't treat everything like this. You understand that you must increase the difficulty to get better at lifting weights. For some reason, you understand that here, but it doesn't apply to gaming because you don't think it's important enough? Like what? The most major issue with your logic is the fact that I can apply it to anything else and it would make equally no sense. For instance, let me ask you something, Steve. Why does anyone join the NFL? No, seriously, why? It's just football. So what? You got a ball from one side of the field to the other. Big deal, who cares? When am I ever gonna have to do that in real life? And you know, why would I want to have touchdown lines 50 yards away from the start? Like, why can't it just be 5? Why can't it just be 5 yards? Why do I have to run 50 yards? That's ridiculous. Oh, and why do I even have to play against people my own size? Like, why can't I just play against 9-year-olds every single time? It's just a game, bro. It doesn't mean anything. Why would I ever want to be better at a mere game, bro? It's just fucking football.
That's fucking football right there. None of that pansy-ass, dick-tugging smile for the camera bullshit. Men puke, men poop on the field. Men deliver their newborn baby on the sidelines. Fucking hardcore, dick-in-the-ass, butterball, foosball, fucking chucking game time shit.
What's my benefit for playing a difficult game? I get angry and quit, and then I'm all annoyed for a while over nothing? Or I get angry and don't quit and eventually beat the game, and what? I get to say I beat the game? As long as it was all worth it, I guess.
This right here is the moment where I just gave up and said, fuck off with this shit. Fuck off with this garbage ass anti-intellectual horse shit. Come on, Steve. If you apply what's killing me here, what's really fucking killing me here, is that if you apply this logic to anything else, it sounds stupid. Let's do it again, shall we? You mentioned weight training. Well, like, why would I ever want to lift anything above 5 pounds? I can do it. You see, I can do the 5 pounds. I don't have to struggle, and it's easy. Why would I ever want to do anything else? Why would I want to struggle at something? I mean, I wouldn't do it if it wasn't easy, right? You shouldn't do something if it's not easy, right? Okay, I like boxing, for instance. So tell me, Steve, why can't I just box somebody's 85-year-old grandmother every single time so I never lose? What? So I could say I won against somebody with equal skill? Who cares? That's not an achievement. You didn't accomplish anything. I mean, I box so I can win, not so I could struggle. I could just beat up Timmy's grandma until the end of time because it's more fun. Okay. All right, rant over. That's enough. I've said all there is to say. I'm just going to be repeating myself if I go any longer. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to give the Covenant their bomb back. I'm Karina McDaniels. I love you all, and get good, nerds, or I'll teabag all your moms tonight. See ya.